Let's work with some backgrounds. In this particular ad that I'm doing here, I want to create a background to it. The only thing that I have showing on this particular project here is the item itself, the photograph that I actually took, and I eliminated the background. So now it's just the car by itself with nothing in the background. So one way that we can work with the background is you can download some images online, maybe some background images, maybe it could be a skyline or a scene that you want to put behind the car. In this case, I grabbed this wallpaper that has a cool design that I wanted to use, and I brought it in to be my background. So that's one quick way that you can utilize backgrounds like that. In this particular case, I wanted to also add some shadow down here so that this bottom part right here looks a little funky to me, even though I kind of isolated that background pretty good and I used sort of an airbrush feel down here at the bottom. It kind of looks like the tires don't have a nice hard edge to them, so I want to soften that up a little bit to make it look more like it belongs. So I'm going to go to my background layer, and I'm actually going to use some black paint using my spray paint, and I'm going to just go ahead and spray paint back there a little bit. So the bigger you use, the bigger brush you use on that spray paint, the more of a kind of a spray effect you'll have that you can use in the background. So that creates a nice little faded look, and it adds to this background. So that's one way that you can do this. Certainly you can just create another layer and make a background all on your own by just using some paint. So you can go ahead and paint the background, maybe select some different colors. In this particular case, we might want to use the monologue or some complementary colors, for example. This is just one way that you could do it. So you can create your own background here, and maybe you'll do a lighter shade of green at the top here, and you can kind of fade in some and create your own gradient by doing that. So that's just one way that you could do that. Another quick way of doing a gradient, though, is let's create another layer here. And you can actually, I'm going to eliminate this back. I'm just going to get rid of that one. Now I have just this layer right here that I'm going to use as a background. This is your gradient tool. This is where you normally would find your paint bucket tool. And we used that the other day when we did our color wheel. Paint bucket, of course, as you know, you can just go ahead and grab the paint bucket with whatever color is on the top tab, and you can dump that right in there, and that'll fill your entire background. But if you want to do a gradient, you use your gradient tool. You click down on that tool where your paint bucket is, and you find the gradient tool. At the top here, you'll see that little, this is your selection, your gradient editor, which you can make whatever type of gradient you want. So if you click on this little square, for example, and then go down to color, I can select the color right from the car so that I have something that matches the car perfectly. And then I can create a gradient. So on this side I have black, and if I want to use that kind of a gradient, all I got to do now is make a line, and that'll create a gradient for me. That gradient can be done from side to side instead of top to bottom. It could be diagonal. However you decide to use that gradient, it's up to you.